everyone. Are we starting on time? Whoa, this is the first time I started on time, like on the dot. Good morning. Today we have Angela Russo with A Russo Digital Marketing. She is a whiz at Facebook advertising, and we're going to pick Angela's brain here a little bit about some things that kind of throw us off when it comes to Facebook marketing. But I want to give you a minute, Angela, to kind of introduce yourself and give us a quick synopsis of your backstory. Why are you doing Facebook marketing? I hate Facebook marketing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and welcoming me into your community. I'm excited to be here today. So again, I am Angela Russo. I am based outside of the Twin Cities here, so technically on the Wisconsin side, but I call the Twin Cities my home. So hope you don't hold that against me, being a Wisconsinite. But yeah, and I have been running my agency a little bit over a year full time, and I've been doing Facebook ads for about 3 years altogether. I was doing it on the side beforehand. And my past life, I was actually a research and development chemist. And when I decided to make the pivot, I knew that I wanted to be in the data side and looking at the numbers and the analytics. And that's the part that I really love. And so I love that I'm able to take that background and that experience that I have in, crunching the numbers and making sure that everything that we're doing is based on what the results we're seeing. And I'm able to apply that now in the marketing sphere to be able to help business owners and entrepreneurs. And so that's really why when I started getting into marketing, I really found that paid ads was the part that I loved because it let me, dig into the weeds there and do all those numbers things. So again, I specialize in Facebook ads for entrepreneurs and small business owners who are tired of feeling like they spend all of their time trying to find their next clients and doing all that marketing rather than what they actually got into their businesses to be doing. Because unlike you and I, Tanya, not all business owners want to be spending all of their day doing their marketing plans and on social media. So I'm here to help support business owners who want to partner that out with someone.
I don't even want to. My whole day. I've done Facebook advertising. I've taken the classes. I've handled that for some of my clients. Most of your clients, my clients that are on budgets, like to do the boosting, right? They feel more in control. They feel it's less expensive, but then they get really disheartened with the results of that. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the difference is between boosting and actually running an actual ad campaign through the ad manager?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to say that the boost button is the easy button, and that's probably why a lot of people like to use it. But really, it's the easy button for Facebook to get your money and not necessarily for you to get results. So when we talk about just what boosting is in general, so boosting a post is just one type of ad campaign that we're able to run if we're doing ad campaigns through the back end, we call it Ads Manager, the business tools that Facebook has built out for us as business owners who are advertising on the platform. And so when we're boosting a post, we are asking for Facebook to give us engagement on that post. So we're telling Facebook, I want you to show this to people who are going to like it, comment, share the post, but it's really only specific to that one post that you're boosting. Whereas if we're using a full ad campaign strategy, we're able to have a lot more options in terms of, we call it the objective. So what we are trying to accomplish with the ad. And then also that allows us to, let Facebook know that we want to get a different, a specific type of person based on what the goal of our campaign is. Everyone takes different actions on social media. Some people are going to be liking and commenting everything on their friends' pages. Some people may spend all of their time in other entrepreneur groups. Some people may only watch cat videos. And so we want to make sure that we are, giving Facebook the best direction it can, because ultimately it's an algorithm, just like everything else. And so it's only as smart as the directions that we give it. And so we want to make sure that, if we're telling it, yes, I want engagement on this post, that's actually our goal. If our goal is actually, I want more email subscribers and I want people to come into my brick and mortar store, if we tell Facebook that we want people to like the post, there's going to be a disconnect. And so that's why I really recommend that we don't necessarily boost posts. It can sometimes be one part of an overall strategy. But a lot of times, if we are using it as part of that strategy, it's part of an audience building or kind of top of funnel look so that we can get new people into our sphere and then retarget them with other ads and, more, I guess, targeted ways of getting people to take the next action.
Yeah. So I do like the boost for those folks that are like brand new and they're just trying to get their face in front of people. But that's basically what it is, just trying to get your face in front of people.
Right.
As far as an objective of them doing anything with it, that's gonna be a low results, like you mentioned. I do have to say I feel a little called out about the cat videos, but
I am there too. Though honestly, most of mine are dog videos at the moment. But yes, that is a big one on my TikToks and my Instagram reels as well too, is all the adorable dogs. And I have no problem with that.
I don't either. In this day and age, we need a little levity. And so
yes.
I do turn to social media for that outside of my work. Okay, so back on track. You had mentioned one of the great strategies for using advertising would be to build that email list or to drive some type of engagement out to a website. Can you talk to us a little bit about how it not going too deep into the weeds, but just kind of from a high level overview, what it looks like for somebody that wants to build up email contacts? Do you do that inside of Facebook, outside of Facebook? Do you help them with that type of strategy?
Yes. So I can definitely help you with developing your email list growth strategy. So a lot of times, if we're going to look at providing some piece of content or something valuable, we call it a lead magnet in the industry. A lot of times. Sometimes people will call it an ethical bribe, just whatever that kind of piece that is going to get people interested, and then in exchange for that valuable content or offer that you're giving them, they are going to be providing their email address and contact information so that you can add them to your list and continue reaching out to them. So that's ultimately the goal of the email list. So email lists are really, I think, one of the most powerful marketing tools that we have because it's an asset that's owned by your business. It is proprietary to you. Nobody can take it away. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms could shut down tomorrow and something new could come up, but your email list is still yours. And so that's ultimately why, regardless of what else you're doing in your marketing, I really recommend that all businesses build an email list and work on, engaging. And, I can admit that I am not the most consistent with emailing my list. And so, there's no problem with that, no shame in that. You can always come back to it. And I think people are understanding that life happens. But also too, there are definitely ways where we can, build automations and build welcome series so that, you're not having to do it all day by day or week by week. We can help schedule it out ahead of time. But I just want to throw that out there that I'm definitely in the do as I say, not as I do category in some cases when it comes to email. But I do have a list and it's growing slowly but surely. But again, it's really one of those where we have the most control over our email list. You can control how often you send out content to your list, what exactly is in there. Nobody else is going to be, going through an approval process and deciding, yes, I want this on my platform, or no, I don't. Obviously you don't want to be sending things out that aren't going to appeal to your audience if you can help it. But it definitely gives us way more power and control. And then also too, we're able to then refeed those email lists back into Facebook to do targeted campaigns. So again, we can think about that different layers of our marketing funnels. And so I really like in terms of that, for brick and mortar locations that may be thinking about, well, how do I get things on my email list? I don't have tons of lead magnet type content. Coupons or intro offers can work really well for that. So a lot of times that's what we'll work on. So, if you have some sort of new client special or discount that you can provide for your location to get people in, those are really great. I also recommend that if we are running campaigns and really just in general in your marketing, have different coupon codes. Even if it's the same offer, have a different coupon for each location or each marketing platform that you're using, because then when someone comes into your store, even if it doesn't look, it doesn't have to say Facebook on it, but if you have a list saying, okay, I know that coupon 1 is coming from Facebook and coupon 2 is coming from my email list, that gives you an idea of where your traffic is coming from. So that helps us again to be able to know which campaigns and kind of track that a little bit more. So I know that sometimes that can be a little bit more difficult for people who are bringing it into store to know how people found you.
Right. There's also the ad trackers, that little what I just drew a blank on the name, but there's like a little tracker, Facebook tracker that you put on your website.
Yes.
So if you're doing that conversion on your website, you have that track too. But I'm glad you mentioned using that list to then create a very custom list inside of Facebook for advertising. That's kind of where I wanted to go with it. So brand new businesses that have no email list at all, except maybe mom and dad and their cousins and their besties. How do you get out into that broad stroke and crack that code to entice other people to give you their email so that you can stay in touch with them? And running some of these ad campaigns, like you said, is a great way to do that. But then using that captured list to then retarget them inside of the platform with the targeted message is great. And I do agree with you about the email thing. And I'm not the greatest either. I update my list maybe once a quarter. But you're right. And it's something that we do talk to people about. If Facebook were to go away tomorrow, if for some reason Google shut down, it's not going to happen. Right. But if those platforms that you rely on so dearly shut off, you have your storefront, you have your phone line, and you have your email list. And so nurturing that email list and just keeping it updated is a great way to do that. And you and I should do another segment about that. I would love to talk to you more about that, because you have some great ideas on how to build that list. And I have some great ideas on how to cultivate that list. So I think that would be a great conversation to have. But with regards to Facebook, taking a strategy like that on the back end to build that list, what's another way that we can use Facebook advertising to propel us out there? I don't think people understand that you can set up that advertising to also hit Messenger. You can hit Instagram. Where else can we be hitting these advertisements?
Right. Yep. So with Facebook, Facebook and Instagram go together because they're owned by the same parent company, and so we're able. So yep, the mothership. So when we say Facebook ads, really we're able to choose if we want to have it showing on both Facebook and Instagram or just one or the other. And so a lot of times we'll do either the same campaign with just different images, just because we want to make sure that the content we're putting out, and this goes for if you're putting out organic content posting as well, you want to make sure that the sizes of the images, that you're using video in the, areas where video is more common. So like Instagram stories or Instagram reels is the new one. Instagram Reels is kind of like it's Instagram's take for TikTok. So they're trying to kind of push TikTok out of the market and get people onto Instagram Reels instead of TikTok. So that's a really great place if you just want to, throw some crazy videos out there and get a lot of engagement really, really cheaply. Instagram Reels are pretty awesome right now for organic here in October 2021. And so we'll see where that goes, but it's a new platform. So Facebook's really been pushing it hard. But yeah, so we can definitely, like you said, we can get people not only to our email list, but we can ask Facebook to run ads that are going to start conversations in Messenger or in the Instagram DMs as well. And so that can be a really great way, if you have additional pre-screening questions. So sometimes we'll use this for people who are in the real estate sector or the mortgage sector, where they need to get some of those more pre-qualification questions to tell if those leads are going to be a good fit for their business. And also too, it's a good way to get more of that personal connection in, help yourself stand out as a great service provider and providing a great experience when we can get those conversations going. Because ultimately conversations sell. And so the more conversations we're having, the bigger our businesses are and better our businesses are going to perform. And so, yeah.
I'm going to jump in there for just a second because I'm glad you said that. So advertising is a great way to get you in front of that person, right? But sales 101 every time. If you're not engaged, a lot of that's going to fall flat. So if you come to me and you say, I'm running Facebook advertising, and maybe you are running it on the back end, and you're not doing the boost, and it's just not working as well. The first thing I look at is your engagement with that information. Are people reaching out to you and are you responding? So I'm glad you said that because I do believe it's people that sell when we're in these platforms. These are social platforms. Even the largest brands, Coca-Cola, have a team of people, McDonald's have a team of people interacting and engaging with people on their advertisements and their posts. So you have to really be engaged with that. So I'm really glad you brought up that point. I also want to drop in another thing that we talked about, the difference between boosting and advertising. And you're talking about the different shapes and formations and different options you can do with the advertising. You can't do that when you boost a post. It is what it is. And you can't do what they call split testing. Can you tell people that are new to advertising what split testing is and why it's important?
Absolutely. So split testing is when we are putting out different versions of the advertisement, and we can split test really any part of the ad. So we can split test different images or different videos. We can split test the actual written copy. We can split test headlines. We can also split test audiences or the different platforms that we are posting it on. And so when we're doing a split test, we're going to run a small portion of our budget. Generally in Facebook, we can do it over the course of a few days to a week. That's another one of the nice things on Facebook is that we get a lot of data really fast, so we can make those decisions. But so we're going to put, usually a 50-50 split if we're running two options. And then we are going to, after we collect that data, we're going to compare the results and see which ones perform better. So usually we'll have whatever our goals are for our different metrics. Again, I'm not going to go into the weeds, but there are tons of different numbers in terms of how many people are clicking, how many people are seeing the ads, all sorts of different, and then obviously, whichever result we told Facebook that we wanted. So how many email signups we're getting, how much engagement. And so when we run a split test, then once we collect that data, we're able to say, okay, ad B performed better than ad A. So I'm going to turn off ad A, and now I'm going to do B and compare it to C, and we're going to test something else. And so that's, I kind of like to think about it if you've ever been to the eye doctor and they do the which is better, 1 or 2, 2 or 3. It's exactly like that. And so we're doing that with our advertising because we want to make sure that we are choosing the options that are providing results. I'm definitely not one of those people who's just like, oh yeah, I set up this campaign for you. Oh, it didn't work a month later. Whoops, let's try something else. No, we are in it. We're changing because I know that our marketing budgets are valuable. And so we want to make sure that before we spend the entire budget for the month, we're making sure that we have done our due diligence and are choosing the ad that's going to perform the best. And so really that's what split testing is just that concentrated and systematic approach to choosing which ads we're going to use.
That's a great explanation. That brings me into my next question, because I know this is going to come up because it comes up in every conversation, which is why a lot of my clients just like, let's just throw 10, 20, $30 and boost it. It's budgets. So for an effective campaign, there's two different budgets that somebody has to think about: the actual ad dollars that they're spending, and whether or not they're hiring a professional ad manager who wants to dive into all those analytics and split it apart and run the numbers and look at all that strategy behind the curtain, or they want to do it themselves, right? So there's those two different budgets. Let's focus on the first one, the actual ad dollars. You've run enough ads. You've been doing this for several years. I usually recommend people, and it depends on the industry too, right? And where you're targeting.
Yep, absolutely.
But you still want to be up in that couple $100 range to be effective and to dice it out over a period of time. What would you say? And again, speaking high level, not looking at very specific industry, what would be a good dollar range for somebody to start with?
Yep. So I generally recommend that you want to have at least a $500 a month ad budget to run on Facebook. So that kind of breaks down. Sometimes we'll talk about it at a daily cost. So if you think about $15 a day, that's about that range that we're looking in to get you, $450, $500 a month. That's really good. We can run as low as $5 a day. So, if you have $150, but then it just takes us that much more time to get the data to tell if something's working. And it's more difficult to split test when we have the lower budget because we really only have the budget then to run one ad at a time. So in that case, we can do it, but generally, we would run one ad for 2 to 3 days, and then we turn that one off, turn the second one on, and then compare, which doesn't always work as well. So that's why I really recommend that people are kind of at that at least $500 a month ad budget. We talk a lot of times about, what's the lifetime value of your customer? So what's your cost to acquire a customer, but then how often are they going to come back to you? And again, that goes into the sales and the selling and client retention and all those other good parts of sales training and business. But so a lot of times, if you think, well, how am I going to have $500 to do it? So we can think about, well, it's not just that one-time purchase that they're coming. So one that I think is really kind of an easy way to think, or an easy example, is if we think about gyms. So if you have a gym membership that's $50 a month, but you say, okay, well, I would need 10 people to sign up in order to make that. But in actuality, if your gym members are staying for 6 months to a year, you need 1 to 2 new people to come in because of the lifetime value of that customer. And so, I know that
thinking. This is where you can help them walk through that little path.
Absolutely, yes. So yeah, as part of our strategy and onboarding, we always talk about, what's that sales funnel, what's the pipeline, are there other ways that we can, upsell or offer more value to increase that for our people? And then also talking about, what ways can we improve client retention if that's, and even to just thinking about, are you tracking those numbers? Because for a lot of businesses, it may be difficult, or it may just be something that you haven't thought about. Like, oh, I don't know how much the average customer spends in my business. And so having those conversations and talking about it. So again, I'm not going in the weeds, but I have some pretty fancy sales simulation software that I love messing around with, where we can put in those percentages and those retention rates, and it can kind of give us an idea of what our targets need to be in order to be profitable for
All
an
right, guys.
campaign.
I'm not sure if anybody's watching this live right now, but even if you're watching it on the playback, I want you to just appreciate the geek out that we're having right now, because
Oh, it's great. Yes.
she's so awesome. And she does what I hate to do. Could I do it? Have I done it? Have I done it effectively? Yes, I did. But I hate it. I hate it. I hate managing all those little numbers. It's so time consuming. I think that's my biggest thing. And I have such turnover and a lot of creatives and stuff that we have to get out, and all these other processes that I'm overseeing in just one person's ongoing strategy. You really have to have dedicated time to do just this. This would be like an all day thing. I wouldn't get anything else done. So having Angela as part of my virtual team now, I'm so glad we met, and I just absolutely adore her. And I am going to just really encourage anybody who's watching this right now who thought about doing Facebook advertising, tried it, didn't think it worked. It was probably one of two things. Either you didn't have the budget, the right tools in place. It usually comes down to the budget, right? 8 out of 10 times I see a budget issue when it comes to advertising or the engagement side of it. Having somebody like an Angela just focused on that, I encourage you to give her a call. Just try it out, run the numbers. I think you'd be really surprised at the results. I absolutely adore you. Okay.
I want to throw in one more thing, if
Yes.
it's cool. So
Yes,
when you talk
yes.
about budget too, as well, one thing that sometimes if people aren't seeing results, sometimes we haven't stuck with it long enough too.
Right.
So that kind of plays into budget.
Right.
But generally, again, so we're thinking about, the long term. We want to build those audiences. So I generally recommend, you want to commit to at least 3 months of ads. And so, obviously we always strive to get results even before that, but there is that very intensive testing component and making sure that we are finding what's working best. And so I do recommend, if you're just thinking, oh, I'll run this for a week, I'll see how it goes, that's not enough time to really get a good sense. And again, that's another place where having someone who is in your corner paying attention to the ads is really good, because I can say, yes, it's early, but these metrics are looking good. We're above industry averages, or this is what I'm seeing. Or if we have an ad that isn't performing well, again, we can say, okay, well, this is, not where we want it to be yet, but this is going to be the 3 things that I'm going to try next in order to do that. So that's, again, kind of, in with the budget. We also want to think about timeline and making sure that, just like with a diet or exercise, if you do it for a week, you may see a little bit results. And I know I'm on that journey too. I have my bicycle here in the back office, downstairs office. But if we only do it for a week, we're not going to see those results. And so the same thing is in our businesses too.
I just feel like you keep calling me out on this interview. What is happening?
It's all me too.
It's cheesehead girls. Yes.
But
All
it
right.
was an ice cream week this week, it's all good.
No, I just went and bought myself a big block of cheese. Yes, Wisconsin girls like their cheese. Get off of it. All right. So I absolutely, like I said, I adore Angela. I encourage anybody to reach out to her. I will post her information down below. This is being recorded. I will put up the recording later and we'll share it out to the sphere. But I wanted to give everybody here in our VIP group a chance to reach out to you with their questions and some of their goals. I'm sure we will have a follow-up to this. There are a lot of things that we could really dive into on the backside of it, but we just had a short amount of time this morning and I didn't want to go too deep in the woods. I wanted to hit those high points, which are, number one, there's a huge difference between boosting and back end ad management. Big difference. there is even a difference. We didn't get into this today, but there's even a difference between the actual ad management tool versus the, I call it the front end ad management tool, where you click on that little, I want to run an ad, and it does give you some options to kind of construct, but it just doesn't go deep into it. And so there's like 3 levels of places that you can manage these ads. And the very basic, if you tell me your budget is $20 and you need to get in front of people, I'm not going to stop you from running that boost. But the second thing is more time, more budget, better effective results. And if you have somebody, or you are an analytical person like Angela, that can pull that aside, look at it with, I call them neutral or negative eyes, you're going to do better off. I think sometimes running our own ads, we take things a little personal when things are working or not working, or the expectation isn't coming out, or we're almost insulted by the results or the feedback we're getting from people. So again, having an ad manager like you're over here, like Angela, my screen is backwards, would be advantageous as well, because now we're looking at it with those neutral blinders on. So those are the points I wanted to make. Any other last minute points that you want to get out, other than how can somebody reach you? Where can somebody find you?
Yes, absolutely. So again, I just wanted to thank you, Tanya, for having me, and thanks to the VIP group and anyone else who's watching for sticking around if you've made it this far. And so, yes, I would love to talk and nerd out about your specific situations with any of you. You can send me an email, or Facebook message is generally the best way to get in contact with me. So it's angela@arussodigital.com, and I know Tanya and I will put that in the chat. Or if you want to set up a free coffee chat, doing those via Zoom still. If you're in the cities, we can talk about getting together in person too. I love that. But Zoom is my primary, just because it's easy to schedule for everyone. So if you go to arussodigital.com /coffee, that will get you to a link where you can schedule time for us to chat. Pick my brain, ask any questions you have about Facebook marketing in general. Or if you just want to say hi, because I always love meeting new people and expanding my network too. Those are probably the best 3 ways to get in contact with me. And I am here in the VIP group too, so you can always tag me if you can't find my info or anything else some other way.
Yeah, she is our resident expert on Facebook advertising in this group, so please feel free to reach out. Angela's a lot like I am, so I'm gonna say right now, please don't take advantage of that. The girl's got a lot of work to do. And she's happy to answer some questions. But if you need a full consult, please book her for a consult. She's like me, she'll just keep dishing it out.
Our good Midwestern sensibilities. We want to take care of you.
I love you so much. All right, guys, thanks again for joining us this morning. If you were there, or if you're playing this back, I will put it out in a place where you can share it with other people. We want to spread the word about Angela and her business and help you with your Facebook advertising as part of your brand strategy this year.